Well, welcome to Health, Wellness, and Sustainability. This is a CEDIA Professional Development Continuing Education course. And a little bit about me before we get started. My name is Jen Mallett. I'm the CEO and founder of Level Up Automation. We are a home technology integration company. I've been in the industry for 25 years, and I am also a smart home CE provider, which means I've been trained to deliver courses like this for continuing education units for builders, designers, and architects. A little bit about my company. We're located in 10 US markets, and we create really smart homes, but also intelligent buildings. We work on the commercial side as well. We operate 4 showrooms in the US. We have Lake Anna, Virginia here pictured. This is Florida, Orlando. We also have a Connecticut location, and this is the Massachusetts location where I'm based out of. A little bit about CEDIA before we get into the course content. CEDIA is a global nonprofit of home technology companies like Level Up that partner with architects, interior designers, and builders to help really make the technology transition for homeowners easy, particularly in remodels or new build homes, but also with essentially existing homes. We can work with those as well. The IDCEC is the partner for CEDIA that helped bring this course together and make sure that it is able to provide continuing education unit credits to interior designers and architects and builders. There's a really great course structure that we have outside of health and wellness. We also have integrated lighting introduction. We've got hiding technology in the home. We've got extending outdoor the living space. So there's a lot of great content pieces that the IDCEC and CEDIA have worked together. So a little bit about the aims of this course. First of all, if you have questions, do feel free to put those in the chat. This is okay to be interactive for sure if you'd like it to be. For me, what I'm going to do is share with you some high-level concepts around wellness and technology in the home, and hopefully spur some thinking around what's possible as homes are being designed and built. So we're going to give you an overview at a high level and talk about the major aspects of technology and wellness and how to apply them. So some key components of wellness technology. So you might think of technology and you think of networks and televisions and maybe audio systems and computers, but technology really has been integrated with lighting control systems and air quality systems and water management systems for the last 5 to 10 years. And there's been a great deal of advancement in these areas. So we'll talk a little bit about each of those areas and dive deeper in terms of what technology is available and what the end benefits are to people living in these homes. What are the health benefits of really integrated wellness technology? Well, there are a number of them. One is air quality. So we all know that air quality is important for people who have allergies, but it's really important for anybody who spends time indoors. And we spend most of our time indoors as human beings. We used to spend a lot more of our time outdoors, and fresh air is something we don't get as much. So being able to manage the air quality within a home and VOCs and other things that are present is really something that technology can help take and make improve for the people living in the house. Water quality is also very important. I think as we look at different chemicals that get into our water supply over the years, and as they make their way into our cooking and our faucets, being able to manage the quality of water that we're drinking and cooking with is really something that technology also can help with. We'll talk a bit about lighting and really the impact of artificial light within a home space and the type of things that really can help your sleep as well as just your day-to-day enjoyment of your home, making sure that the lighting in your house really is representative as much as possible to what naturally human beings we're normally exposed have. So those are a few of the really kind of key health components that technology can support and help. We'll also touch upon a few other things that are emerging, like people aging in place and how technology can support people who are, essentially looking to stay into their home for a long time, and maybe mobility is an issue, or there are other health challenges that are in place, and technology can really help support the livelihood of people that are looking to stay in their homes longer. A bit about the applications of technology. So as we look at bringing technology together, in this picture you can see that there's some natural light coming in from outside. There's some artificial light that's inside. This is a cooking space, so there certainly is air quality components that are part of this. But in general, when we look at the places that it really is most important to apply wellness technology, generally speaking, as you're looking at designs in bedrooms and kitchens, sometimes family room spaces are within a kitchen space like this. Those are really the most important areas, though a lot of the applications can be whole home. We tend to focus on these areas because they have really the biggest impact to a human's health. So kitchens and bathrooms in particular are things you're going to want to look at in addition to bedrooms. A little bit about the productivity benefits of implementing technology and health strategies within the home. There's a lot of research that says that daylight has really a big impact in how productive we are as humans. And if you look at both in the commercial space, where there's been probably more research than in the residential space, because companies are financially motivated to help make sure that their employees are productive, right? But as you look at those, the daylight portion that is happening, whether you're home or in a commercial office, really matters. So within this slide, you can see that when we look at the lighting that happens within a space, if there are outside views and daylight coming in, productivity increases. So in this case, within a call center commercial place, the call processing can be 6 to 12% faster. They found that research has showed mental function can be 10 to 25% better. And if it's in a hospital environment, where there's been a lot of research, because in the hospital business model, in the US at least, people are looking to really turn beds, and people have an 8.5% shorter stay when they have outside views and natural light within their room. So there's a lot of different aspects of productivity as it relates to really being connected to the outside world and also the light that is in the space. We'll also talk a bit about temperature control as well, because that absolutely has an impact on our productivity and how we feel within a space. Air quality. So as human beings, for the most part, we have evolved living in tents and caves and houses that are not completely insulated. We've had fresh air, we've had natural light, we've had natural humidity for thousands of years. And we are now, really, if you look at the last 150 years, we are now putting ourselves inside buildings, whether it be a commercial building or a home. And the challenges with that are manifold for air quality. One is that the air quality inside is 3.5 times worse than air quality outside. And that surprises people a lot, because they think that, well, there might be other things that are out in the air. There might be factories, there's car exhaust, there's all these things that are happening outside all the time. But really, inside is a lot worse and a lot more difficult to manage. So the technology that's really come to play in the last 5 years with indoor air quality helps us manage the air quality within our home. So things like VOCs or other aspects of the air, allergens, things that are coming in that are not good, whether you have somebody in the house who has asthma or other health condition where air quality is really important. There's air quality systems that essentially will real-time monitor the VOCs by room. They will look at the humidity in the room, because humidity has an important is an important aspect of air quality as well. And it will also manage the temperature. So when we look at those three things and we look at it within the home space, we have HVAC systems, which are sometimes put on a schedule, sometimes not put on a schedule, to be able to help circulate that air. We have things like fans, which can help circulate the air. And then we also have windows. One of the best things to do is open your window. But the challenge with air quality is that humans don't know when they have bad air quality generally, unless it's really hitting them in the face. So air quality technology really helps people understand what is their current air quality that is happening. So it gives you that status space so that you can understand what it is. It will also proactively work, assuming you have the technology in place, with your HVAC system to automatically kick on airflow and distribution within your home when that air quality measure goes below a certain threshold. So that's really powerful, because as humans, without us knowing that our air quality beyond that stat is 3.5 times worse than what's outside, we don't know when to open our windows or to run our HVAC. The technology design around air quality takes that really off of a human's plate and does the automatic measuring of what's happening with all the most important metrics. And then it's also working with things like smart HVAC systems, smart thermostats, smart air purifiers. Whole home air purifiers have become very popular, for example, to help really take those pollutants and get them out of the air within the house. We also can connect things like there's smart fans that are out in the marketplace. So great example is when you have your air quality monitor, and it's also tied into your smart fan so that it understands, in addition to the HVAC system, when is a good time to be circulating overhead air, or when is also a good time just to open up the windows. That's some of the things that an air quality technology piece can help you with. In terms of what's providing the actual pollutants, I think you can see it on the slide. It's pretty much everywhere, from contaminants to gases, cooking gases. How well the property is ventilated is also a factor. So there's a lot of things that are happening here, and air quality is something that technology can really help with. I will say that since COVID-19, there's been a huge jump in the technology in this space. So if you're interested in learning more, this is a great time to deep dive to understand how to implement air quality systems within the home space. This is a little bit about the source of volatile organic compounds, otherwise known as VOCs. And this is one of the major components that a technology air quality system will actively measure for you. And as you can see, there's a lot of different things in this picture, from aerosol sprays to pets to vehicles to paints to furniture. It really is coming from everywhere. So your ability to really put a technology that is helping with your air quality, for example, in this home, utilizing the different systems within the home, whether it be smart thermostats, HVAC, fans, air purifiers, things like that, to help you understand what's happening and help you move as much of those VOCs out of your house as possible. And you know, it's something, again, that is invisible, but starting with that measurement on the technology piece, that's really what helps you move to make sure that we can move these VOCs out of the home through other means that you have in your house. Talk a bit about water quality, and there's been a lot of research in the last couple of years around forever chemicals and things that are not by intent in our water supply now. So full home water filtration systems do a number of things. They essentially will filter out things that are in your water that should not be in your water. They will also measure the contaminants in your water. So if you can think of, if you've ever tested your water at home through a kit, one of the kits that comes home. If you can think of that kit, except for it's not a physical kit and it's actively measuring your water quality and telling you on your phone exactly what your water quality is, that's essentially where we're at with measuring water quality now. There are also things like reverse osmosis systems and other things that we can put in place when we're designing a home to really help the water quality, not only in one room, but throughout the property. Water quality is really important for cooking and drinking, and certainly pets, if you have them, they're essentially exposed to these same contaminants. So water quality technology systems are meant to measure and then also meant to filter out. So very similar to air quality technology, water quality technology is right in line with that, with assessing, and then the proactive portion of it, which is making it better. As we talked about earlier, bedrooms are one of the most important places to really think about how technology can support wellness. Sleep is something that's very important for our health, making sure that we're getting a good night's rest so that we can wake up, be refreshed. There's a number of health benefits of having really great sleep. There are pieces of technology that we have introduced into our life in the last 50 years that do not help our sleep. So we have things like, and some of that is technology, right? So things like televisions, laptops, smartphones, lighting that is LED that might not be at the right temperature. So as we look at improving, one of the biggest things you can improve for your health is sleep. We look at really understanding, okay, how can we design a space so that it is in as natural of an environment as possible? So to start, we want to look at blue light sources. So what are those blue light sources that are happening within this space? Certainly, televisions and other video sources have the capability now to have a setting so that you're not exposed to certain blue light at a certain time of day, which is typically, if you're looking at sunrise and sunset, you're really looking at not wanting to expose yourself to blue light after 5 o'clock, wherever you're located. After 5 o'clock, you really want to be in a place where you're starting to wind down. And a great example of this that I think most people understand is, if you think about us as human beings and how we did used to live out in caves and log houses and things like that, we would wake up typically at dawn to hunt and gather, or farm if you're a farmer, and we would be exposed to that morning light. Morning light is typically at a certain color temperature. So if you look at color temperature, which is measured by kelvins, you can see that the morning light really is a little bit warmer. And then as the day moves on, 10 to 12, it starts to get cooler and brighter. And then at noon, it is typically very bright, if you think of high noon, right? And also the sun is at a cooler temperature. And what that is meant to do is really, what that does rather, is really helps with that productivity piece. So if you can think of somebody who really needs to have clarity and productivity when they're working, if you think of a surgeon, when you walk into, if you're having surgery and you walk into a surgical room, it is very bright. And it is a very cool color temperature. And the reason is that that is what helps the eyes be able to see as much of it can while it's doing the work. It also helps you to make sure that, you know, essentially you're going to be alert, right? And not sleepy. Conversely, as the afternoon hits and the evening starts to take place, if you think of the sun, it's going to start to set, and then that orange color, that warmer color temperature, starts to happen. And so really what happens as human beings, and why this is so important on the slide, is that when your eyes see in a particular color of light during that time of day, which should be sunset, it tips off your pituitary gland, which produces something called melatonin. You probably recognize melatonin as the supplement that most people take to essentially help them sleep, because it's one of those things that helps humans sleep. The funny thing is that we have put ourselves inside, possibly to a lot of blue light, a lot of cooler temperature light. So if you look at this room, this is too cool a temperature for evening. It might be okay for morning, but not great for evening. You want it to be more of a warmer temperature to help with that whole melatonin production. So sleep is something I think that can absolutely be impacted with lighting control technology. I'll also mention within sleep that temperature control as it relates to air technology is really important. So much like the temperature of light, right? So whether it's cool or warm on that Kelvin scale, we also are accustomed to certain types of humidity during certain types of day, as well as temperature during certain types of day. So if you can imagine yourself when you walk out in the morning, early morning, there's dew on the grass, if there's grass where you are. And that truly is something that would happen most days, assuming it's not winter. So your humidity levels are a different place. So when you're looking at sleep, really, as humans, we should be sleeping in cool temperatures, and there should be a certain humidity level. So if either of those things are off, your sleep will be disrupted, and therefore the quality of your sleep will be disrupted. So it's good for technology to help make sure that towards the end of the day, we're monitoring that humidity level within the house through that air quality technology piece we have. And we're also leveraging the smart thermostat that's on the wall to make sure that the temperature within the home, particularly the bedroom, is set to a cooler temperature, because that's what humans would experience in those log cabins, in those caves at night. And that's what we're accustomed to, and it helps us sleep. So big topic, but if you think about lighting and air quality, those are two of the really big ones. I'll mention before we move on to this slide, because this is probably one of the bigger topics within this course. You'll notice that within the design of the space, there's a very large window that reaches out and gives a great view of the outside. There's a lot of research that says that, you know, our ability to be able to be immersed in nature is also a really big indicator of future good health. So making sure that we're not closing ourselves out to outdoor spaces, and being able to see outdoor spaces is really important. Lastly, noted on this television, this is a good use of technology in the video space, and that what they're doing here is they're replicating the view outside on the television, which provides more of an immersive experience for the people that are living within this bedroom. Exercise technology is a big part of wellness as well. And certainly we've seen a lot of advancements in technology over the last couple of years. If you look at brands like Peloton or others that are essentially putting a lot of technology and connectivity to exercise within the space of a home, as we're looking at a home and we're designing around it, a home gym or an exercise space, being able to make sure that that space also has the right lighting for that particular space, whether it be, in this case, we've got a rower, and we've also got a punch technology and a treadmill, making sure that the lighting is going to not interfere with the exercise. So a really good example of this is that sometimes you'll walk into a gym that's not in a home, and there'll be a lot of overhead lighting and blue light, which creates a lot of glare. And for a number of people, that actually will tee off things like migraines. So it's not good for them. If you go into some of the home gyms, sometimes it's better to have a low level of light, not a lot of glare, to enable relaxation, like maybe it's yoga or other relaxing activities. So when we're designing the exercise space, we're looking at, okay, what type of exercise do the clients have within that space? And then how do we make sure that the lighting controls will match, for example, somebody running on a treadmill versus somebody in that space, maybe doing yoga, Pilates, or meditating. So utilizing lighting technology can really support that. Within this space, we talked earlier about how we can be immersive within nature. And a lot of the video technology that's out there now can be projected on walls so that you are feeling like you are running on this boardwalk, right? Or you might be rowing actually in the water. And there's a concept called biophilia and another one called biomimicry, which essentially says that, you know, your eyes don't always distinguish a television versus a video source that is not natural versus what is natural if it's done the right way. So if the sound and the video within this space are as closely aligned with something that's happening outside, then your body and your brain will actually feel like it is outside and recognize the health benefits of being outside, even though they're inside. So those are two really, really great concepts. And there's a lot of good research out there. Again, that's biophilia and biomimicry. And it is a nice kind of research practice to really get yourself familiar with if you're not familiar with it. The application on the technology side really is that we can reproduce to a certain extent what it's like to be outside and be able to, our bodies are able to think that they are. So a lot of exciting advancements in this space. And as you look at exercise spaces, think about the video component, the lighting component, temperature component, sound component, and how those things can easily be controlled so that the space really is maximized for health. Oh, I'm going to go back. I also will talk about air quality here. We've all been in a gym where maybe you can smell that the air quality isn't great, right? To be frank. So air quality in places where humans are breathing and sweating, very, very important to make sure that the air is being distributed and filtered and all the good things while people are exercising to make sure that that quality of air is good, because lungs are working typically overdrive as they're exercising. Couple more slides here. This is really, as we kind of like tie things together, we'll talk a bit about living in place or aging in place. Certainly, there's a lot of great technology advancements that are available for people who are looking to live independently, whether that be that they have certain health conditions or maybe mobility challenges, or maybe they are aging and want to age in their home. So as we take a look at that, there are things that technology can do that can help in a couple different ways. First and foremost is really safety. So as we look at making sure people are safe within the home, there are things like that enable people to live there longer. So a couple things are sensors that are within the wall or in the ceiling that can detect things like falls. So oftentimes when people are aging in place, for example, the main item that becomes a danger point really is somebody falling, becoming unconscious, and then not being able to call for help or get help, right? So the technology that we have in place for this does a few things. It essentially is able to monitor what the typical behaviors are and patterns are of people who are walking or moving around the home. It is able to understand whether or not somebody has fallen out of a wheelchair or fallen out of any other chair or bed or in the bathroom or commonly out of the shower. So things like that, where we have sensors in place, whether that be a bathroom mat or a sensor in the wall to detect any unusual activity, and then have the ability to communicate with a caregiver or also potentially fire and police dispatch, is a really fantastic use of technology, and one that is absolutely ready for most places to be installed. So if you have somebody who's living in place or aging in place, the wall sensors are great. There are products that are specifically built for bathrooms, whether it be smart bathroom mats, for example, that can measure, okay, somebody has gone into the bathroom, gotten into the shower, stepped into the shower, and maybe an hour passed and it notes that somebody hasn't stepped out, right? That would indicate that there might be a problem. Now, an hour is a long time. It might be that you can set that piece of technology so that it's 20 minutes or 25 minutes, right? That is a good example of a way to measure what's happening within the home. We also have things like smart sleep mats. So smart sleep mats go underneath the mattress and are able to do a number of things. They're able to provide some measure of health. So for example, if you're looking at, a person that might be having trouble sleeping at night, sleep mats are able to, believe it or not, they're able to tell you whether or not you've had a good night's sleep or not. Sleep mats also can be programmed so that when a person gets up out of bed, the lights go on automatically, which is a fantastic safety measure. They also are able to look at patterns. So if you're looking at somebody who maybe they have a health condition where they're getting up at night to go to the bathroom more, that might indicate that there's maybe needs to be a conversation with a doctor, for example. The sleep mats will really look at not only what's happening that particular day, but it's able to provide you a trend analysis on whether or not that is unusual behavior. So that is really a pretty powerful piece of technology. Other portions that technology helps within the living in place field really are, if you think about mobility challenges, things like automated shades are helpful for privacy if you're not able to actually lift them up and down. A number of people, if they actually are having mobility challenges, they might not open their shades every day, right? But we talked about earlier, natural light is really important to human health. So that can be detrimental to their health. So automated shades are things that can be programmed to go up and down, sunrise to sunset, to help naturally bring that light in when it's supposed to. We also have things like smart locks, which help with access control, smart sensors, which really monitor windows and doors, so key entry and exit points. If you have people that maybe are going through certain things, like we have clients with dementia, right, or early onset, but they want to be able to live in place, being able to make sure, while respecting their privacy, being able to make sure that there's some understanding of the entry and exit points can be very helpful and allow people to stay in their homes longer. So I'm just scratching the surface on the many technologies that are here for living in place and aging in place. Essentially all the technologies we talked about in terms of lighting control, temperature control, audio, video elements, in terms of voice control, being able to turn those things on and enjoy them without necessarily having to use other things like buttons. Those are all capabilities that are fairly advanced now, so that people can really enjoy their home longer in a more safe fashion. And then caretakers and others can feel a bit more comfortable and connected to what's happening, while also respecting the privacy of the person that's living there. Couple more slides here. We're going to talk a little bit about how light impacts our health. And we talked about this earlier. Daylight has a major effect on productivity, as we talked about, health and well-being. So 100 years ago, our grandparents spent 90% of their time outside. Now we spend 90% of our time inside with air quality that is 3.5 times worse than what's outside, right? So you can do the math and understand why air quality technology really should be something that is within all homes at this point because the technology is there. I'll also add that as we look at lighting technology and how that impacts, air quality, because they're all kind of tied together. Light technology, essentially, as we talked about earlier, should be that rise and then midday level cool, and then we're going back to warmer technology later. So making sure that we're exposed to that while we're sitting inside, we are able to essentially take with the new LED technology and be able to mimic sunrise and sunset and midday light temperatures. And that really helps our body feel like we still are outside, even though we aren't. And this is a little bit of, kind of some more pictures around how we can mimic outside light inside the home. So you can see that the picture on the left, that is very bright, cool light. And when you're cooking, right, that's a good thing to have. You want to be able to have bright light, just like that surgeon. So you're not going to cut your finger off when you're preparing dinner, right? Preparing those vegetables for dinner. But you don't necessarily want that bright light at night or first thing in the morning. You want something that's more of a warmer glow, like this person who's looking out the window to her city. And then on the other side of this graphic here, you can see that we can also use video features. In this case, it is a larger screen where a projector is essentially providing a really nice ocean view within this living space so that people can feel that they are at the beach or somewhere where it is really nice out and there's beautiful water. So a lot of different kind of capabilities on how we can mimic outside light in the home. And I just mentioned that, again, automated shades are a big part of that, and making sure that the shades are open and bringing in that natural light when it should, and also they're closed when we want privacy. So as we integrate automation, and the real key here is that we make it easy for people. So people don't have much time to manage all the apps on the phone or other pieces of technology. You might have 5 or 6 apps just to control these things. An integrator, a technology integrator, our goal and other CDM member goals really is to make this as easy as possible so that it really is just running in the background and it's not something that people living in the house need to think about. So being able to provide some level of personal control so that people can, for example, manage smart temperature through their phone or through voice or through a button. There are a variety of different ways that we can help people do that. But at the end of the day, ideally, we're habitual beings, right? So we tend to like certain things during certain times of day. And what an integrator can do is really take those technology systems, so air quality, water quality, temperature control, lighting quality, audio, video, and bring it together to one control system that everybody can use, that is very simple, that works in the background to those things that are really habitual to you so that you don't even need to think about it, but also gives you that personal level control that's easy to use when you do want to take specific control out of one of those technology systems we have. So really the key for maximum impact is simplicity in use and making sure that the technology is set up correctly, is programmed correctly, and is working in really the best interest of the clients that are living within the space. Sustainability as the last touch, we kind of talked a bit about this. When we look at things like smart thermostats and really the growth in smart thermostats over the last 10 years, one of the biggest reasons is that older thermostats really weren't able to be intelligent about when you're using your energy. And a lot of these technology systems have the capability to measure sustainable portions of your home. So whether that be water control, so within your water filtration system or your water technology system, you can look at things like throughput to understand, okay, maybe we are utilizing a lot more water this month than last month. So outside of even the quality piece of it, we're able to really kind of say, all right, let's look at how we manage our resources better. So on the water side, it would be looking at, what are those trends in throughput? Can those be managed better? It also relates to, if you, for example, have a leak in your house, smart water filtration and smart water management systems can really look at what that throughput is, be able to find things that are outliers and identify that you have a leak in your ceiling. Maybe it's a very small leak in your ceiling that you don't know. Technology can support that. The thermostats, as we talked about, essentially just help with that energy management and making sure that your air conditioning, whether that be cooling or heating, is working at the right times of day. And also that it's able to measure your humidity levels as well. And that certainly, as we talked about earlier, relates to human health. So there is a nice tie to sustainability with technologies as it relates to wellness. And almost all of them have some sort of component around, yes, this is great for your house, but it's also great, essentially for, really our leveraging of resources and how sustainable we are as a society. So this slide really says, is this valuable? I think certainly as we're working within blueprints and understanding how people are going to live within a home, some of the things that we're working with architects, designers, and builders on really is understanding those lighting controls and how that affects the human condition, making sure that we aren't putting a lot of, for example, a great deal of downlights or cans in a space, which create a lot of glare to the eyes, which is not something that is typically very comfortable. Making sure our lighting design and our lighting controls are really on target so that they're supporting the health of the people within the space. As we talked about earlier, the smart thermostats and air quality and water quality technology systems, those really, when you're building a house, that's the right time to be thinking about implementing those things so that the homeowner can have really the best choices available to them based on what they want to invest. And there's a lot of infrastructure work that happens there to plan to make sure, for example, within the mechanical room, that there's going to be a reverse osmosis system or some other system that's in there that is going to support the wellness of the home and the people living in it. So I think it's very valuable. I hope you do as well in terms of bringing it up as part of that home design and making sure that we're really talking about it early. Once the home is built, there are products that retrofit in for air quality sensors and water quality, and they're great. But really the capabilities are best captured as part of the home design early on. That was the last slide we had. I'll just chat really quick about CEDIA membership. CEDIA, as I mentioned earlier, has put together these courses and helped with creating instructors that are able to deliver them to trades so that we can bridge the gap between technology and design build. If you're interested in CEDIA, check out cedia.org. It is a nonprofit global organization of integration companies like Level Up, but also trade partners like architects and designers. So a little summary of our discussion before we close out. Essentially, you're really looking at the big technologies are water technology, air quality technology, lighting control technology, certainly AV technology to a certain degree. The most important spaces we've found really for health and wellness are the kitchen, bedrooms, as well as bathrooms. Those are the spaces where, humans spend a lot of time, and those technology categories I just called out are really very beneficial to really think about as those spaces are being designed. Thank you very much. I hope this was a helpful course. If you have any questions, or if you're working on a project and you'd like some help, feel free to reach out through cedia.org or through us here, and we'd be happy to help you with supporting that process of making sure that wellness and technology are integrated within your projects. Thank you very much.